the new style pressed-on wheels, and the Burrell steam tractor Little Samson 1907, 2-speed as it is, and as far as we know, it's the oldest Burrell tractor in existence. This is now owned by Edward and Andrew Goddard, both chairmen of various companies, are part of the Morris Group, and we have a great debt of gratitude not only at the rally here, but for the whole of the steam movement as to what Morris's oils do. Number 50 is the single crank compound traction engine, built 1901, very fond of their single cranks. Number 52, Fowler general purpose engine, Roland. Chris Wedgwood from the Isle of Man, she came from working over in Australia for many years, and it now makes back. The Rotary tandem roller, the Mistress. Why is it called that? I do wonder whether Dave Riley's good lady thinks the engine's mystery and she's his wife, or vice versa. Work that one out. 53 is an Eibling and Porter roller again with the ramp, of course, but this one is special. It's exactly in the same appearance as when it worked for Staffordshire County Council. Then number 54, Pride of Somerset. Richard Bridge has supported us for many, many years. She was built in 1925, but the works we know closed in 1929. 55, we have Neil Williams from Market Draken with a very elderly Eibling and Porter, and 2002, a lot of work's done on it. And we welcome Graham and Alison Morrison and daughter Sophie with the Fowler roller Titch. She went out to South Africa, came back to this country via the USA. Britannia, another Eibling roller, this time worked for Dingles, the contractors down in Devon there. Lovely to see her with us. And Ironside, a Clayton Shuttleworth roller. Ironside, that was Oliver Cromwell, wasn't it? And this belongs to our fantastic working secretary, Margaret Asprey, but a little bit of the past. 2 numbers above this, we used to have a Clayton roller coming regular. Paradox, owned by Liz Mason, complete with flower power overalls. Eibling Porter roller Rusty Nuts. What more can we say that Ray Pearson has done from Gooseberry with that? And we've not mentioned yet about engines exhibited at Royal shows. If you could exhibit an engine or a Royal show and sell it there, it was good publicity. And then another Ransom's Portable. We know after the end of World War I, as it says in your programme, it went over to France as a pumping engine. How it came back, we do not know. And then Eibling Steamroller Achilles, Bridgewater Council she worked for, ended up in a playground, and the Staten family, John and David and family and grandparents acquired this. Number 63, the Survivor. This is one, as it says in your programme, came back from Portugal, and Steve and Alan Baker restored it. Proud Mary, Richard Hesbrook, another one, Foden, that came back this time again from Tasmania. And by golly, did they have their money's worth out of it. The gears were worn sharp, the bearing shells were non-existent, and it took Richard 10 years to rebuild. Foster Tractor, this is one of the replicas that have been built since the turn of the century, and owned by a well-known engine owner, Bob Bailey from Telford. And then the Sentinel DG4, belonging to Edward Goddard. The Goddard family been involved with Sentinels for many years. As we said earlier, Edward is closely connected with the 2 companies the family are, Morris Leisure and Morris Oil. David and Kay Hilditch with the another DG4. She was built 1929. 1931 was about the changeover to the S motor series. And then the 6-ton standard built 1921. Many breweries had them, and for many years this was owned by the late John Nod and his good lady Liz. Sentinel S69, Hugh and Jenny Winterbottom supported us for years and years. They originally bought from Aberdeen to the Fernley brothers in Castleford in Yorkshire. Number 70, better than the new programme, the Super Sentinel tractor Maggie May. It was built as a wagon and went to a brewery in London, came back to Liverpool in 1933. She was taken to Sentinel's Liverpool depot, chassis short, the water tank mounted, it was new tyres and was used by Criddles, the sugar factors, to haul sugar on trailers from Liverpool to the docks. Tired 1962, present owner acquired in 1965. Now why is it called Maggie May? You think about it. Hauling loads of sugar on the streets of Liverpool. Who else worked the streets of Liverpool beside the Sentinel? It was Maggie May, wasn't it? Sentinel S4, Chris Wedgwood from the Isle of Man. When you read your programme, it wasn't scrapped in 1958, it was withdrawn, bought by Alan Williamson, and eventually Dennis and Phil acquired it, and we're lucky to see it here today. Sadly, Dennis passed away some years ago. And then the Sentinel S4 three-way tipper, up and down and sideways, owned by the Gould family down from Somerset there. We believe that a total of 296 were built pre-war of the S's, then after the war 100 for the Argentine, one for the National Cold War and one for Thomas Hill. And yet another tipper, the S6, Peter and Diane Carney from up in Cumbria, worked for Tarmac, and then all through the war years, we think it may have gone to the Royal Arsenal at Woolwich, where fires weren't allowed, but she went in, then Cambridge Gasworks, and as we now see it here today. Number 74, yes, when you see there, new 1924, not quite. Its real number is 9593. It was rebuilt, as we said, from parts in 1995. It just shows what can be done. I think it's super this. Used an engine from the Sentinel rail locomotive. The DG8 wagon, this was built as a DG6, six-wheel wagon, converted by Sentinels in 1933, survived by various means. There was 8 new ones built and 8 conversions. Sentinels didn't want to know about it. Then Alan Williamson Sentinel, new terrain for potteries, done an awful amount of work since Alan acquired it in the early 1960s. And the little Arthur Trotter steamroller, made for working on his paths around his house. Fantastic. Steam buggy, that's another one which is a little bit different. And then, can we come to the day's special engine for us, number 80 in your programme, the Fowler B6 road locomotive Talisman. Now a talisman is a lucky charm, isn't it? Which, and certainly this was. She was built in 1925 for Edward Box and Company, the heavy haulage firm in Manchester. As it says in your programme, hauling loads excess of 100 tonnes. It was ultimately acquired at the start of the war, or with the merger I should say, with Pickford's. And we know in 1942 it was involved in some form of mishap and disappeared from the scene. Strange as it may seem, the boiler survived in a market garden for sterilising, and latterly our friend Alex Sharphouse from up in Cumbria and his good lady heard of this, acquired it, and this was the start of the building or reconstruction of the famous engine Talisman. The third engine there, 3 engines Edward did number 16264, Jinx, and also then 17105, Atlas. And for many years she resided at the Dilhorn Colliery, covered up. A guy called Ted Trubshaw owned it. But Alex has now virtually, well, he has completely built a new traction engine using a lot of components from the previous one. And any of you who watched Midlands Today on Friday heard the commentator state, this would haul parts for the Titanic. Well, remember, the Titanic sank in 1912. Talisman was built in 1925, exhibited at the Royal Show at Chester at the same time. But Alex has told me that he's now got some parts off the Titanic. He's done magnet fishing in the North Atlantic. You'll think about that one now. So there we've got this wonderful selection of machines with us. The Sentinel over there, the ex-Bridgestone one, as a tar sprayer. And years ago, at the early rallies at Bishop's Castle, this Sentinel, the maroon one with the aluminium-clad tar tank on, could only come to the rallies if the no road work was being done that weekend. So it was just one of those things, if and when. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm venturing out into this melee, something I've now done for many years, and the lovely steam cars going by us. As we said earlier on, we bought them in. Wonderful machines, beautifully turned out, but very temperamental and difficult to maintain. Lovely to see them here. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, can I introduce someone to you? It gives me great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. For many, many years, we've had the honour of having the mayor of this wonderful, you are still a borough, aren't you? Well, Shrewsbury Town Council, but we must remember the past. And we have a great debt of gratitude to the council and the councillors here, the support they give us for this show. And we hope we can pay a little bit back at times. And ladies and gentlemen, young people, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Mayor to you, Phil Gillam, who will say a few words. Over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. And what an absolutely fantastic show this is. And the weather, well, you couldn't ask for more. I've been coming here since I was a little boy, and it's a tremendous show. I've just had a ride in a steam car. Never done that before. So yeah, it's just a wonderful experience. Hope everyone's having a lovely time. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, I understand the middle of next month, is it the 21st and 22nd, you've got a very, very special charity raising event for your charity. Will you tell us about it? You didn't expect this, did you?
Well, if you insist.
I do insist.
Yeah, so a little bit different to what most mayors do. I've got a Beatles weekend coming up in Shrewsbury on September the 20th, 21st and 22nd. We've got 5 Beatles-related films being shown at the Walker Theatre in Shrewsbury. We have a wonderful tribute band. We've got live music going on in the pubs and clubs all over town. It's going to be great fun. So if you love the Beatles, I hope to see you there. Thanks a lot. Oh, the website? Oh, I'm being asked about the website as well. If you visit us on Facebook, it's just shrewsburybeatles.com, and all the details are there. Or you can get in touch with Theatre 7 and they'll tell you all about it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm ecstatic for that, but it comes to that. And we've got to support each other's counties, haven't we?
So, yes, well, I lived in Staffordshire for a few years, and that's a lovely place as well.
We lived in Stafford itself, our county town. I'm not bothered. So thank you, sir. Enjoy your day. We're sorry your good lady's not with us, but she is working. She is a nurse, and that is more important really than being here. We have a great debt of gratitude to anybody in the medical profession, whether it's the most senior of consultants down to the domestic staff, everybody. We need them. We must support them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Well, here's Maggie May, as we said early on. She worked the streets of Liverpool as well, as the name say. Lovely to see them. Glad you've made it. A similar machine to this, 1963. Alan Williamson's got a super like this one. A group of us, we took it down on the Saturday from End, and I joined it at my father's pumping station at Shrewsbury. We took it down to London, to the old British Transport Museum at Clapham, and put it to bed and put into a very nice bed and breakfast. And next morning we joined the historic commercial vehicle run from London to Brighton. And a lovely story is told. My good mate Alan Williamson, we were standing on the front of Brighton, daylight today, the sun shining, 4 o'clock, and he said, how are we going to get it back home? Well, what is Brighton from Stoke? Nearly 200 miles. So we looked around, and the late Jim Dakin, very well known for the owner of Winnie, we looked at each other and I said, well, I'm not working tomorrow. He said, well, I can have the day off. It was his own business. And about 5 o'clock we set off from Brighton to come home. The plan was to just get north of London and stay the night. Well, we trundled along, big water tank on. Coming up Park Lane, we pulled up to take water outside a very high-class hotel. And all these people in their dinner jackets were looking at us, these rather grubby-looking individuals. And with that, the matron D came out and said, they're having problems, gentlemen. We said, no, we're only having one water. We're going back to the Midlands. He said, well, I am sure some coffee wouldn't go down without any problem. And he came out with a silver tray, with a silver coffee pot and the rest, and they looked after us so well. By that time, those having dinner had joined us. And we set off, got onto the A5, and we found that we could use the side lights on the Sentinel, the rear lights, use one of the oil lamps as a gauge glass. Jim Dakin drove, I fired, and all the way through we never had to declinker it. It was just going steadily, and that was absolutely superb. Standing in front of me now are two variations of the Sentinel tractor. We've got the one that was constructed, which I think is absolutely superb. I do like the look of it. It's one of those wonderful machines. And can I say, gentlemen, you're up there, can I say thank you for what you've done in building this? Absolutely superb. I'll just go around and have a word. Right, sir, now you're here. Your name again? Mike. How did this come into being? Because I think it's wonderful where we can reconstruct something with this with a lot of existing parts. And it's not quite filling the gaps in the history, we've got them. But really, this is probably the way they may have taken it forward, isn't it? What was the idea behind it, please?
He looked for a challenge, and he set himself the task of using all the components that he got, building it back up into a Sentinel wagon. So in the early 1990s, that would have been more or less a first. It's halfway between a reconstruction and a total rebuild, but he's made a superb job of it, and I'm very fortunate to own it now, and I just enjoy driving it about.
That is absolutely superb. Thank you for coming down to see us. And it's also painted the right colour, London North Western Railway black. But thank you again, sir, and we do appreciate you giving us support. So, who's this guy coming in there with his hat on? Right, thank you again. Do appreciate it. Well, your commentator's causing chaos again. Not quite follow that car. Right then, we hand over to... It is now the trapeze.